For over 2,000 years, no one has dared to open the tomb of China's first emperor. And there's a good reason. Ancient texts describe what awaits inside: rivers of liquid mercury, self-firing crossbows, and unimaginable treasures. But that's not what keeps archaeologists awake at night. It's the warnings carved in stone, the mysterious deaths of those who get too close, and the scientific readings that suggest something very much alive lies beneath. Some doors should remain closed forever. Stay with us and we'll discover everything archaeologists know about one of humanity's greatest mysteries. Let's go.
Picture China over 2,000 years ago. Not the unified nation we know today, but a patchwork of warring kingdoms, each fighting for dominance. In this chaotic world, a 13-year-old prince named Ying Zhang inherited a throne that most adults couldn't handle. But this wasn't just any teenager. This kid had plans that would reshape an entire civilization. By age 13, most of us are worried about homework. Ying Zhang was planning world conquest. His kingdom of Qin sat in western China, surrounded by 6 powerful rival states. While other rulers played defense, this young king played the long game. He spent nearly a decade systematically crushing every neighboring kingdom, one by one. The boy used warfare like a chess master uses pieces. Advanced weapons, disciplined formations, and tactical brilliance became his signature moves. By 221 BC, he'd done the impossible, unified China under one ruler for the first time in history. He gave himself a new name that matched his achievement: Qin Shi Huangdi, the first emperor of Qin. But conquering China was just the warm-up act. This emperor wanted something far more ambitious than territory. He wanted time itself. Every great ruler faces the same brutal reality: death comes for everyone. But Qin Shi Huangdi refused to accept this universal truth. He became obsessed with immortality, sending expeditions across the known world searching for magical herbs and life-extending potions. His advisors fed him mercury, believing it would preserve his body forever. We now know mercury is deadly poison, but back then, it seemed like liquid silver might hold the secret to eternal life. The irony is devastating. While consuming toxins that slowly killed him, the emperor started building something that would actually make him immortal, not in body, but in mystery. When most rulers plan their tombs, they think about a nice sarcophagus and maybe some jewelry for the afterlife. Qin Shi Huangdi had different ideas. He didn't want a tomb, he wanted an entire underground empire. The scale of this project makes modern construction look modest. Over 700,000 workers, soldiers.
Mount Li, near the imperial capital, was selected because ancient Chinese believed the northern slopes contained gold while the southern slopes held jade. For an emperor who saw omens in everything, this felt like destiny calling. The underground city they created defies imagination. It covers nearly 38 square miles, larger than Manhattan. That's not just a tomb, it's an entire metropolitan area buried beneath the earth. The complex includes 2 main sections, an inner city where the emperor rests and an outer city spanning 4 miles around it. Archaeological surveys revealed the incredible detail of this buried world: stables for horses, kitchens stocked for royal feasts, administrative buildings where ghostly bureaucrats might file eternal paperwork, gardens with bronze birds frozen in flight, even an imperial park designed to entertain the emperor's spirit through eternity. The builders created something unprecedented in human history: a functional city designed for the dead. Drainage systems prevent flooding, underground dams control water flow, sealed walls protect against intrusion. These weren't just grave goods, they were infrastructure for an afterlife kingdom. But the emperor's paranoia followed him to the grave. The strongest defenses face east toward the 6 kingdoms he'd conquered. Even in death, he expected revenge from his enemies. Which brings us to the most incredible discovery of all: his guardian army. When those farmers found the first terracotta fragments in 1974, they triggered an archaeological revolution. What emerged from the earth wasn't just art, it was military precision frozen in clay. The terracotta army contains over 8,000 individual warriors, each one unique. No two faces are identical. Some soldiers have mustaches, others are clean-shaven. Some look stern, others appear almost amused. The detail is so precise that scholars believe these figures were modeled after real people, actual soldiers who served the emperor during his lifetime. The army comes complete with everything needed for eternal warfare. Cavalry units with clay horses stand ready to charge. Archers kneel with crossbows drawn. Chariots wait with bronze fittings so detailed they include working umbrellas to shade officers from non-existent sunlight. Real bronze weapons were buried alongside the figures, spears and swords.
I have a question for you. First, I would like to say that it is possible to follow the greatest curiosities of our world every day. But to do so, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So, are you already subscribed? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Also, take the opportunity to like the video so YouTube will recommend more videos from our channel. So leave your like right now. And now that you have done that, let's go!
Other pits contain entertainers, acrobats caught mid-flip, musicians with detailed instruments, court officials holding scrolls. There are stable boys, grooms, even clay ducks swimming in an underground pond. The emperor wanted every comfort and service available in his eternal kingdom. Originally, this entire army blazed with color. Special mineral paints created lifelike skin tones, bright armor, and vivid robes. But here's where tragedy struck. Within minutes of exposure to air, these colors began fading. Within hours, most were gone forever. Archaeologists learned a harsh lesson. Some historical treasures are too fragile for our curiosity. This is why many parts of the complex remain deliberately untouched. The technology to preserve what lies beneath simply doesn't exist yet. But there's something else that keeps scientists away from the central tomb, something far more dangerous than fragile paint. Everything we know about the emperor's tomb comes from a man who never saw it himself. Sima Qian, writing about a century after the emperor's death, compiled accounts from workers, officials, and witnesses who helped build the underground kingdom. His descriptions sound like fantasy until modern science proved he was telling the truth. According to Sima Qian, the central burial chamber contains a scale model of the Chinese Empire. Rivers of mercury flow through miniature landscapes, representing the Yangtze and Yellow rivers. The ceiling displays constellations of stars, while the floor recreates China's geography. Palaces, towers, and mountains fill the space, creating a world where the emperor could rule forever. But Sima Qian also included a chilling warning. The tomb, he wrote, was protected by automatic crossbows rigged to fire at intruders. These weren't simple traps. They were sophisticated killing machines designed by the same engineers who built siege weapons for the emperor's armies. For centuries, historians dismissed these accounts as legend. If mercury vapor remains trapped inside the tomb, opening it could create a toxic cloud capable of killing anyone nearby. Mercury poisoning causes neurological damage, organ failure, and death. The emperor's obsession with mercury-based immortality elixirs may have created an eternal poison trap. And those automatic crossbows? If built with durable materials like bronze, they could still function after 2 millennia. Spring-loaded weapons can remain armed for centuries if undisturbed. Opening the wrong door might trigger a 2,000-year-old death machine. This is why the central tomb remains sealed, not because we lack the technology to open it, but because we might not survive what's waiting inside. Walk into any archaeology conference today and mention the emperor's tomb, you'll start an argument. Scientists split into 2 camps, those who believe we should open it now and those who insist we must wait. The Open Now crowd argues that time is running out. China experiences earthquakes, floods, and rapid urbanization. Natural disasters or human development could damage the tomb before we get another chance. They point to archaeological sites already lost to construction projects and climate change. Why risk losing everything while waiting for perfect conditions that might never come? The Wait and See group remembers what happened to the terracotta warriors. Priceless painted details vanished within hours of exposure to modern air. They argue that opening the tomb prematurely could destroy irreplaceable artifacts. Better to wait decades for preservation technology that can protect what lies inside. Both sides have compelling arguments. Both sides are probably right. Current technology offers tantalizing glimpses without the risk. Ground-penetrating radar maps the tomb's structure. Magnetometers detect metal objects through layers of earth. Scientists can study the site's shape, depth, and composition without breaking the ancient seals. But these tools have limits. They can't see through thick stone walls or dense earth layers. The deepest parts of the tomb remain invisible to modern instruments. We know something enormous lies beneath that earthen pyramid, but its exact contents remain speculation. Some researchers are developing robotic probes that could enter the tomb without human exposure. These tiny...
It's like having a canary in the coal mine, except the canary is a multi-million-dollar robot designed to survive ancient death traps. The political dimension adds another layer of complexity. The tomb belongs to China, and Chinese officials ultimately decide its fate. They balance scientific curiosity against cultural preservation, tourist revenue against historical protection. It's not just an archaeological question, it's about national identity and world heritage. Meanwhile, the clock keeps ticking. Every year of delay brings new risks. Every year of rushing could destroy irreplaceable history. So, what exactly are we afraid to find? The obvious answer is death. Mercury poisoning, ancient traps, or structural collapse could kill explorers. But there's something deeper at stake. Opening this tomb could rewrite everything we thought we knew about ancient China. Consider what we've already discovered around the edges. The terracotta army revealed military organization far more sophisticated than anyone expected. Bronze weapons showed metallurgy techniques that weren't supposed to exist yet. The construction itself demonstrates engineering capabilities that challenge our assumptions about ancient technology. If the tomb's interior matches ancient descriptions, we might find evidence of scientific achievements lost to history. Mechanical systems that created flowing mercury rivers, automated defense mechanisms that operated without electricity, astronomical displays that mapped the heavens with precision. Or we might find something else entirely. Archaeological discoveries rarely match expectations. The tomb could contain religious artifacts that revolutionize our understanding of ancient Chinese beliefs, art treasures that rival anything found in Egyptian pyramids, historical documents that reveal the true story behind China's unification. The emperor himself poses questions we can't answer until we see inside. Is he actually there? Ancient texts suggest grave robbers might have looted the tomb centuries ago. Political upheaval during the fall of the Qin dynasty could have scattered his remains. We might open the most feared tomb in history and find it empty. Even the emperor's appearance remains mysterious. No authentic portraits survive from his lifetime. If his body was preserved with mercury-based chemicals, would anything recognizable remain?
These questions fascinate scientists, but they also represent potential disappointment. What if the greatest archaeological mystery in the world turns out to be a sophisticated empty vault? What if the mercury contamination comes from later flooding rather than ancient rivers? What if the automatic crossbows are just corroded metal scraps? The fear isn't just about dying in the tomb, it's about killing the mystery that has captivated human imagination for millennia. Here's the strangest part of this story. Qin Shi Huangdi might have achieved exactly what he wanted. Not immortality in the way he expected, but something better. He's been the subject of global fascination for over 2,000 years. His tomb generates more questions than answers. His legacy grows stronger with each passing decade. Most ancient rulers are footnotes in history books. This emperor created a mystery so compelling that modern scientists risk their careers debating whether to open his tomb. He built something so dangerous that 21st century technology can't guarantee safe entry. That's not just impressive, it's supernatural. The tomb has become larger than the man who built it. It represents humanity's eternal struggle with mortality, power, and the unknown. Every year we don't open it, the legend grows stronger. Every discovery around its edges makes the central mystery more compelling. Maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe the real treasure isn't gold or jade, but the questions themselves. Maybe the emperor understood something we're still learning. The most powerful force in the world isn't armies or wealth. It's curiosity combined with fear. Scientists remain terrified of opening the tomb, and perhaps they should be. Not because of mercury or ancient crossbows, but because some mysteries are more powerful when they remain unsolved. The moment we open that seal, we lose the greatest archaeological unknown in human history. But we'll also gain something unprecedented. The chance to meet face-to-face with a man who tried to conquer death itself. Whether that meeting happens next year or next century, it will fundamentally change how we understand ancient China, human ambition, and the lengths people will go to achieve immortality. The emperor waits beneath his mountain of earth, surrounded by his clay army, protected by...
But wait, there's more to this story that makes the emperor even more terrifying. This guy wasn't just obsessed with immortality. He was paranoid beyond belief and had zero tolerance for anyone questioning his authority. In 213 BC, Qin Shi Huangdi made one of history's most devastating decisions. He ordered the burning of virtually every book in China, except those about medicine, agriculture, and fortune-telling. Philosophy books burned. Poetry up in flames. Historical records that didn't praise him torched. Scholars who protested this massive book burning were buried alive, literally. The emperor's reasoning was twisted but logical. He believed that if people couldn't read about other ways of thinking or governing, they'd have no choice but to accept his system forever. It was thought control on a massive scale, and it worked. Much of ancient Chinese literature and philosophy was lost forever in those fires. This book burning reveals something crucial about the tomb mystery. If the emperor was willing to destroy the accumulated knowledge of an entire civilization, what kind of information did he choose to preserve in his burial chamber? Ancient texts suggest he took scrolls and documents into the tomb with him, potentially the only surviving copies of works that were otherwise destroyed. Opening that tomb might not just reveal treasures and traps, it could recover lost literature, philosophy, and historical records that would revolutionize our understanding of ancient Chinese thought. We might find the original versions of text that only exist in fragments today, or discover completely unknown works by famous philosophers. Here's another chilling detail that makes the tomb even more mysterious. According to historical records, when construction finished and the emperor was finally laid to rest, something horrible happened to the workforce. The outer gates were sealed with all the workers still inside. These weren't just random laborers, they were skilled craftsmen, engineers, and artists who had spent decades building the underground kingdom. They knew every secret passage,
every trap mechanism, every hidden treasure location. The emperor's advisors decided this knowledge was too dangerous to let loose in the world. So they sealed the tomb with hundreds, possibly thousands of workers still alive inside. These people starved to death in the dark.
It's one of history's most brutal examples of job security. Literally. This mass murder serves a practical purpose for modern archaeologists. It means the tomb's construction secrets died with the workers. Even if we find ancient blueprints or construction notes, we're missing the oral knowledge that master craftsmen would have passed down through generations. The tomb's most sophisticated features remain mysterious because their builders never left to tell anyone how they work. Remember those mercury rivers we talked about? The situation is actually way stranger than scientists first realized. Recent soil testing reveals that mercury contamination extends far beyond the main burial mound. It spreads through underground channels that seem to follow specific patterns that match ancient descriptions of the empire's river systems. But here's the really weird part. The mercury concentration isn't evenly distributed. Some areas show massive contamination while nearby spots have normal levels. This suggests the mercury isn't just leaking randomly from broken containers. It's still following the flow patterns the ancient engineers designed. Think about that for a second. After 2,000 years, the emperor's miniature river system might still be functioning. Liquid mercury could still be flowing through underground channels, following mechanical systems that have operated continuously since the Han Dynasty. It's like finding a Roman aqueduct that never stopped running. This discovery has implications beyond archaeology. If those mechanical systems are still working after 2 millennia, they represent engineering knowledge that we've lost. Ancient Chinese engineers might have understood fluid dynamics and mechanical engineering in ways that modern science hasn't fully appreciated. Here's something that keeps geologists awake at night. The tomb sits in an earthquake zone. Xi'an has experienced several major earthquakes throughout history, including devastating ones in 1556 and 1568. Each earthquake potentially shifts underground structures, changes drainage patterns, and could trigger ancient mechanical systems. What if those automatic crossbows aren't just sitting there waiting for intruders? What if seismic activity has been randomly triggering them for centuries? Imagine bronze weapons firing into empty chambers every few decades.
Seismologists studying the area have noticed something odd. Earthquake detection equipment around the tomb sometimes picks up small vibrations that don't match typical seismic patterns. These microtremors seem to originate from underground chambers rather than deep geological formations. Could these vibrations be mechanical systems still operating inside the tomb? Water pumps maintaining mercury flow? Counterweight systems shifting position? Or maybe just the sound of ancient architecture slowly settling after 2,000 years? Nobody knows, but it suggests something is still moving down there. Modern thermal imaging reveals another puzzle. The burial mound maintains a slightly different temperature than surrounding ground throughout the year. In winter, it's warmer. In summer, it's cooler. This temperature regulation shouldn't exist in a sealed underground chamber. The most likely explanation involves the massive drainage system built around the tomb. Flowing groundwater could create natural thermal regulation, like an ancient geothermal system. But some researchers suggest more intriguing possibilities. What if the mercury rivers create their own microclimate? Liquid mercury has different thermal properties than water. If large quantities are still flowing through underground channels, they could generate the temperature variations we detect today. It would mean the emperor's artificial river system is still actively affecting the local environment. Recent advances in non-invasive archaeology have revealed more details about the tomb's construction, and frankly, it's getting scarier.
Ground-penetrating radar shows that the underground chambers aren't just big, empty rooms. They're filled with complex geometric structures that don't match any known ancient Chinese architecture. Some of these structures appear to be mechanical in nature, systems of wheels, pulleys, and counterweights that could power the automatic defenses ancient texts describe. Others look like maze-like passages designed to confuse and trap intruders. The Emperor's engineers didn't just build a tomb, they built a death trap with multiple redundant systems. Magnetometer surveys detect massive metal objects throughout the complex. Some are probably...
The distribution of metal signatures suggests these devices are positioned at strategic choke points, exactly where you'd place automated defenses. But here's what really freaks out researchers. Some of these metal signatures appear to have moved slightly between survey sessions conducted years apart. Either the equipment is malfunctioning or something inside the sealed tomb is still shifting position. Neither possibility is particularly comforting. There's another reason why opening the tomb terrifies scientists, and it has nothing to do with mercury or crossbows. It's about modern politics and national identity. Qin Shi Huangdi is a complex figure in Chinese history. He's simultaneously celebrated as the founder of unified China and criticized as a brutal dictator who destroyed traditional culture. How his remains are found and what artifacts surround them could influence how billions of people view their own history. What if the tomb contains evidence of the emperor's cruelty, documents detailing mass executions or cultural destruction? Such discoveries could complicate modern China's relationship with its founding emperor. Alternatively, what if the tomb reveals him as more enlightened than historical records suggest? That could reshape Chinese national identity in equally dramatic ways. International politics adds another layer of complexity. The tomb's contents could impact territorial disputes, cultural heritage claims, and diplomatic relationships throughout Asia. Several neighboring countries have historical connections to the Qin dynasty that could be strengthened or undermined by archaeological discoveries. This is why some experts argue the tomb should remain sealed forever. Not because of physical dangers, but because some historical truths are too volatile for our current world. Opening the tomb could solve ancient mysteries while creating modern conflicts. So here we are in 2025, still staring at that earthen pyramid and wondering what lies beneath. Every technological advance brings us closer to safe exploration. Every passing year increases the risk that natural disasters or human development will damage what we're trying to protect. Recent developments suggest the waiting period might be ending soon. Chinese authorities have approved limited exploratory drilling around the tomb's periphery. New robotic exploration systems are becoming sophisticated enough to map dangerous spaces without human risk. But the fundamental question remains, are we ready for what we might discover? Not just the physical dangers of mercury and ancient traps, but the historical, cultural, and political implications of whatever truths lie buried with China's first emperor. The tomb has kept its secrets for over 2 millennia. The next few years will determine whether those secrets stay buried or emerge to transform our understanding of ancient China, human ambition, and the lengths one man went to achieve immortality.
Still curious? Then don't stop now. The next mystery is already waiting for you. Just click the video on screen. I saved it just for you. See you there, curious one.